Stay sweaty.
I have a confession to make. I wasn't always that into Adult Swim. I've been watching for years, since long before I was an adult. But there was a time when I looked at shows like 12 Ounce Mouse, Tom Goes to the Mayor, and home movies and just saw weird, dumb, ugly, barely animated shows. Sure, stuff like Venture Brothers, The Boondocks, and Aqua Teen Hunger Force convinced me that Adult Swim originals could be amazing and made me a longtime fan, but I just didn't think twice about discarding anything that wasn't up to my lofty 15-year-old standards. Saul of the Mole Men, Tim and Eric. What the fuck is this? They just look bad. I mean, you wouldn't make a show look bad on purpose, would you? I didn't really get what they were going for until, like, the Eric Andre show came out. I probably would have even looked at a perfect show like Joe Parrott Talks with You and said, this is boring. I know.
It's one of my core beliefs that you shouldn't waste kinetic energy.
I was that most dreaded thing, an anime Adult Swim fan. I did eventually figure out that animation isn't obliged to be cool and sexy all the time, and I've had a great time going back and revisiting all the shows that I missed out on back then. But there was one that I was kinda dreading, because while I only had vague memories of it, I wouldn't really say that they were positive. I really don't like writing about shit that I hate. There was no retrospective on the list I was more worried about than this one. Oh yeah, these are retrospectives now, I guess. And I gotta do Mr. Pickles at some point. I am of course talking about The Brak Show, and all I can remember about Brak as a kid is that I didn't like him. I thought he was annoying, his voice was stupid. Woo, woo, woo. Never been a fan of singing in shows. Whatever, I'm going off what I remember remembering, because mostly I hadn't thought about it in years. Brak Show was definitely the least talked about of the original Adult Swim lineup. Fun fact, it's actually the first one they ever canceled. It doesn't exactly have the same legacy as the show it spun off from, Space Ghost Coast to Coast, or Birdman, or even C-Lab. It's not exactly forgotten, but it sits in the same, oh yeah, I remember that, cultural space as Mission Hill or Lucy, the Daughter of the Devil. And after having gone back to find out what I really thought, well,
he's like the baby duckling who grows up to be a tall, majestic tree that flies away with the other geese, never to be seen again.
Yeah, I really couldn't tell you why. This show slaps. So for those who don't know, The Brak Show was a short-lived animated sitcom parody created by voice of Brak, Andy Murrell, and these other guys that ran on Adult Swim from 2001 to 2003. Yeah, that's all you get. When I said short-lived, I meant it. Brak is, well, he says he's a cat boy, but your guess is as good as mine. Join him on his misadventures with Mom, Dad, no relation, Zorak, his best... well, I was gonna say friend, but it's more like when you end up spending way too much time hanging out with your drug dealer.
What's that? Can't hear ya! You're gonna blow him up, aren't you?
Affirmative.
Wahoo!
And last but not least, his next-door neighbor, for some reason, Thundercleese.
Thundercleave. Thundercleave.
Wow, that was neat! Do it again!
No.
Oh, man.
He's basically Mazinger Z. The show's both a spin-off of Space Ghost, sharing many characters and staff members, while also mockingly having very little to do with it. It's like Bird Girl, if it were good. I'm sorry, Bird Girl, you'll have your day in court. I wish I could say more than that, but there is shockingly little information on this show online. I often use this VH1 special on the early days of Adult Swim. It features a lot of its most important creators from that time, but it actually skips going over the Brak Show. So weird. Andy Murrell himself is Adult Swim royalty. He was there at the very beginning.
Some would say that Brak was arguably more popular than anybody else on the network at the time.
He might have been.
You look at the network now and you think about what it was like there at the beginning. You were at the beginning.
I was there for 23 years.
Wow. Who hired you?
I met with Lazo and a guy named Dick Connell, who was also in programming.
He may even be the one who named Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Wrong!
I think it was Khaki that we were coming up with names. She came up with Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
All those skits with the guy dancing in the costume, that's him. The guy's pretty interesting. He does a lot of music work. which definitely shaped what Brak would end up being as a character. Brak's show was a singing, yelling, goofy cartoon mashup. It seems to take place in some kind of Cartoon Network hub world. Characters are smashed together from what might as well be completely different shows. I wish they still did that kind of thing. Pibby doesn't count.
You're a liar!
They're never gonna make that into a real show, guys. I'm sorry. It's just not gonna happen. Thundercleese especially seems like he's taking time off from some other show. But the setting is more in the genre it's parodying. Old sitcoms. Older. Even older. There you go. The Andy Griffith Show, Leave It to Beaver, that kind of thing. That was before everyone was doing it, too. Brak has a simple show with a simple strength. It has perfect comedic timing. Everything Brak, Dad, Zorak, Mom, and Thundercleese say is just gold.
What are you doing, Dad?
I'm flipping oyster burgers for the King of Spain. What does it look like I'm doing?
You can definitely see that they took what they learned from SGCC and applied it to something more situation-driven. The show is mostly focused on taking standard sitcom premises and making them absurd in classic Adult Swim fashion. Dad runs for neighborhood president, Brak steals the school mascot, or gets bullied, or tries to get a date. Whatever. Remember when I said that C-Lab lacks creative confidence? Please tell me you do. Well, Brak's show oozes it. It never matters what the episode is about because
all of this just works. It's not, I'm not kidding.
When you hear a fact like it was the first Adult Swim show they ever canceled, you expect some kind of tragedy. But it really only made me ask why. Like I said, I thought I was going to get sick of the singing pretty quick, but I never did. And it has a rap episode. And believe it or not, it's not even cringe. Okay, it's a little cringe. It's not that cringe, though. CeeLo Green's in it and everything. It works because Brak is really hard to hate in this show. He's not exactly dumb, he's more just naive and wholesome.
But he prefers to be called Hippo.
Yes. Do you know what people would say if they knew I hung out with a doll talker?
I imagine they'd say, Zorak, you're so lucky to have a friend like Brak. He's quite a guy.
That was actually really refreshing after some of the psycho shit I've been digging into. Brak isn't actually all that different from a Cartoon Network show. It sits just on the borderline, which makes me wonder if Lazo didn't axe it for not being helly enough.
It's too helly! Run! Run back to the safety of your home!
It didn't need ultra violence or a ton of sex jokes to be funny. It's a bit of a palate cleanser if you're really into Adult Swim stuff and you watch it all the time but you want something different. Is it perfect? One thing I'll say about a lot of these shows is none of them were made to be binge-watched. You go through them all at once and you start to notice the repetition. But I can't really blame it for being what it is. It knows what it wants to be and it does just that. It's not politically meaningful, it's not geniusly constructed. It feels like a classic case of people just kind of messing around and doing what they thought was funny. Okay, how about some random stuff I can't figure out how to fit in naturally? Is it just me? Or is Brak's mom kinda creepy? It's the eyes. There's an episode about Japan taking over the show. I'm not sure why, but this is a joke early Adult Swim did a lot. William Street did not respect anime back then. Which is ironic, because they had the biggest hand in helping it take over the whole goddamn world. I guess now is the time to comment on which mom voice I think is better. People cared about that back in the day, I guess.
I really think the family took to me as your replacement, wouldn't you say, Ducky?
Check the internet, honey. I'm still the star here.
They're both fine. I actually lean more towards the British version because it's different. The best episode? Probably The Runaway. It's a whole Space Ghost crossover. I'm a sucker for that kind of thing. Worst episode? Mobab. Lame premise, pretty lame execution, and it's about a dick-shaped squid man.
Look, Pib, I know it's our job to help this guy and everything, but I think this guy's a lost cause.
Look, I like these videos to have a main theme. You know, something deeper I can say about the whole thing. Admittedly, I don't really have one this time. Brak's show isn't complicated. It doesn't have any interesting production history. It's just good. But the show does have a theme that I think has never been more relevant. TV is stupid.
Television is for the weak.
People invest way too much weight into what they watch, what other people watch, and what it means to watch it. It gets pretty insufferable. I think we've all seen examples of that. And it's the reason why I prejudged it. Sometimes you just need a show to remind you not to take this shit so seriously.
Will I always be the king of pain?
Funny, isn't it? How I don't care about what you just said. It's funny.
Zorak, I wasn't...
Funny!
Talking to you.
Well, this was late. Sorry if you were waiting on it. I really want to have more time to invest in these videos and get better at making them.
You're a liar! You're a liar!
And I think what I've done with this channel recently has been going well. I think I can make it work. To be honest, I've never liked doing the whole like, share, and subscribe thing. I always saw it as tacky, and none of the guys I respect ever do it, so why should I? If people really like the video, they'll do that shit on their own. And then I remembered that I'm not nearly as good as those guys, and I should probably get over myself. I spend enough time on YouTube to know that I don't like or comment on things I like all the time. And it's not even about getting people to like you. It's about getting YouTube to notice you.
Notice me! No!
And I definitely still don't care about making algorithm-friendly content, so I do humbly ask you, if you like what I'm doing here, give it a like. Or dislike. Tell me what you think of the Brak Show, or Adult Swim in general. I only made this channel so I could talk about it with people. Tell me my voice is stupid. If you made it this far into the video, you earned that. Thanks for watching. I've got a lot of Adult Swim video ideas coming up. And, stay tuned for the next one.
I could use an adult beverage. How long till the break?
No breaks for you, chump.
Story of my life.